Bonsoir, mes camarades de jeu, and welcome back to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I play the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. I'm your host, Tom Rayleigh. Our campaign is Reign of Terror. It was developed by Mark Morrison and is available on the Chaosium website. Our maître de jeu is Mick Swan, and this is episode 9. Our recap will be given by Lucas Strom as his character, Etienne Babon. So, without any further delays, commençons notre voyage dans les ténèbres. Lucas?
So, the raid on the Chateau de Phenolic continues apace. We have witnessed utter depravity within. The partygoers had been reduced to braying, barking, and blood-soaked animals. It is a sick joke, the Comte mocking not just the king, but all of humanity. And when Phenolic revealed himself, coalescing from a cloud of sorcerous fog, he had no intention of surrendering himself to us. So a brutal melee ensued, and Dupois made use of some common seasonings, hurling them into the face of the Comte. Although disoriented by the spices, he lashed out in a bloodlust, feasting on my companions, stopping only to command one of his thralls to engage in some manner of musical witchcraft. Were it not for Dupois' deft knife skills, the pianist may have doomed us all. Now, bloodied and thwarted, Phenolic reverted into his blasphemous mist and fled into the crypt beneath his estate. We gave chase, and what we found below was true horror, signs of torture and murder that greeted us. And deep within, we came upon a gruesome salon filled with a wall of severed limbs. Now, as a foul smoke descends upon us, I find myself hoping that perhaps with luck, my first command will not be my last.
Smoke bubble.
The smoke continues to pour from the ceiling, and it's a strange smoke. It's very heavy. When you inhale it feels very thick in your lungs, but it doesn't seem to have a smell. It's a curious thing. Nonetheless, I'd like you to all to start this evening by making a Constitution roll, please.
That's always a good sign.
01. I can't believe it. Wasted an 01 on that.
That was me last week.
75 out of 75. I hit it on the nose.
8 out
29.
of, 8 out of 55 for me, so extreme.
Okay, any fails?
Regular pass, 29 out of 50.
Okay, all is good.
Beaumont?
And Dupois.
Well, I should still be out
Oh, yeah, that's right.
outside.
Dupois blows a smoke ring with his roll of 1. The smoke continues to fall around you. It's definitely heavier than air. And it lingers briefly at ground level. And then, as if betraying that it is indeed what you thought it was, it suddenly shoots off back down the corridor that you came in from.
Towards the way up?
Towards the way out.
Merde. Run!
And into the darkness.
We must keep it from locking us down here.
Almost at the moment that the smoke retreats, make a listen roll for me.
47.
What? 99.
47 out of 55.
Hard success with an 18.
Just a regular pass.
Regular pass.
Okay. Pugel and Dupois. As the smoke retreats up the corridor, you swear you can hear the sound of metal scraping on metal.
He's going to lock us in. We must stop him.
Pressy, a little further back than the others, you're standing closer to that statue. And as I said before, the statue was... There's a strange, distant moaning coming from within the statue. And just for a moment, just as the smoke gathered itself and flew off down the hall, the moaning, just for a moment, became a bit louder. Almost as if it was getting louder just as the smoke passed it.
Did you hear that? Statue. It's like that sick moaning got. It was like it got louder when the smoke went by.
I didn't hear that, but I heard him trying to lock us in, and I take off running for the entrance.
I heard nothing. I can barely hear your voices. Supernaturally quiet down here.
Go ahead.
On a side note, remember, I disengaged that lock last episode. I put my bayonet in and cracked it off in the lock.
Right. I'm going to yell two things. Loudly, I'm going to yell back up the corridor. Where was Beaumont? He was just on the floor, wasn't he?
Beaumont had collapsed.
That's right.
Along the lane.
That's right. But there's other soldiers and stuff, aren't there, up there? Well, if anybody's up there,
up in the house.
Maybe I don't know.
Yes. Oh, yes. The house is full of soldiers. Yes.
I'm just going to yell as loud as I can. He is trying to get away. Do not let him get out, just in case. And then I'm going to turn back to Christoph as he says that he hears something from that thing. And I'm like, it's an abomination. Just push it over.
I'll, if I can, just shoulder into the sculpture and see if I can just smash it over.
Give me a strength roll.
Well, I got a 37 under a 65.
Regular.
Yes, that would be a regular success.
Okay. You push the statue over. As the statue hits the ground, you're startled by a very sudden and very loud, pained cry, a scream. And at first, you think it's actually you think it's coming from the statue, but then you realize that it's coming from back up the corridor. Make a luck roll for me.
I'm down to 56, but I rolled a 41.
Okay. There's my thing that I did for this. Give me a second.
Did I understand right that I thought the sound may have came from the statue?
The moaning came from the statue. You thought, just in the heat of the moment, as the statue fell back, you heard a scream, and you were startled because you thought the statue may have screamed at you, but then you realized that it's actually coming from behind you.
Okay. I thought it was the statue, though, because it was the focus, and all my attention was there.
And as it falls to the ground, 3, the left arm dislodges and comes loose. Which happens around the same time as the screaming.
Is it just like a break? You know, as you might expect a stone statue to
no
smash, or
no, it's more of a very clean detachment, as though it was somehow somehow the arm was fixed to it, and it just became dislodged as it fell backwards.
Is it a female or male scream?
There's no sign of damage. It's definitely a male scream. It's a very hoarse, quite grotesque screaming.
When knocking over the statue, was there anything behind
for a
it?
few seconds. The only thing behind the statue is the wall of limbs. And some of whatever the liquid is at the base has splashed over you as it fell backwards.
We are running down the passageway. Has the Count, in fact, locked or closed the gate?
You can't see anything because as the smoke has gone down the passageway, you assume that it's blown out. There were only 2 or 3 candles along there, but they've been blown out.
Did we have a torch?
A couple of you had lamps, I believe.
Okay.
So I'll say you've got one of the lamps with you.
Yeah. I've got one with me on my wooden hand.
I think I had the other one.
Okay.
Those lamps are all heading back up the stairs, and there's no way in hell I'm staying down here in the dark.
I've stayed behind with you.
So you're all heading that way. In that case, we're going to jump to Beaumont in a moment. But you get about 15 feet down, just to the point of the just to the point before the corridor widens, where the doors were to the cells.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you hear that sound of metal scraping against metal. And to your left, in the cell, you see a figure moving, trying to open the door. And the door seems very stiff, but it's not chained or locked.
You're talking about like a bars, a door?
Yes.
Okay. Like the other corridor, the other passages. Okay.
No, well, this is the same passage as before.
Okay.
We're just going backwards now.
We're going backwards, but it's not the straight corridor, it's the one to the left.
Yes, it's just a little alcove to the left,
Okay.
the cell to the left.
There he is.
I'll shine the light towards it.
You shine the light, and what you see is what appears to be a man, rather pale looking, and very battered. His nose freshly broken. One of his ears looks like it's been severed. He's covered in bruises and fresh cuts. And he has a look in his eyes which is nothing short of horrifying. You're immediately struck by the fact that there is something deeply inhuman about this man. Give me a sanity roll, please.
41.
I found that.
That's 1 for a pass and 1d4 for a fail.
I failed.
1 point anyway. I failed, but I rolled a 1.
My 1d4 is missing. Well, I'll find another one. Here we go. Just 1.
As he gets closer to the door, and as such closer to the light as well, you can see there's an almost sort of bluish or perhaps even silverish tinge to his skin, not unlike a corpse.
Sacre.
We don't have time for this. Shoot him.
Who is he? Well, he's not who we're looking for.
Right. That's what I'm just like, we're letting him get away. This is distraction.
The figure in the cell lets out a moan and launches himself at Ujel.
Can I raise my musket and take a shot? Or I don't have a bayonet, remember.
It would take. I think you can use your musket to push someone away, or to try and use it as a club, but to actually ready your musket to cock the thing, prime it, and fire would take a little while to do.
I'll just swing like a Louisville Slugger and try and whack him with it.
It would just be a brawl.
38 out of 60, so
Regular.
yeah, regular.
Okay, I mean, you just managed to. You don't inflict any damage. You just managed to just use your. You're essentially parrying him.
Yeah, I want to keep him away from me.
Using your musket to just push him back. And just the moment he's pushed back, he just starts coming back at you again.
Well,
as he's there though, as he's in close proximity to you, and you're pushing him back, you get a whiff of him, and he smells like a dead man.
I just I'm like kind of like stammering, and I just want to like get him away from me.
I'm going to raise my foot up, put it against the guy, and shove really hard.
Okay,
Say, get back, fool. What?
Give me a brawl roll, please.
53 out of 85.
Okay, give me a strength roll as well, please.
All right. 37 out of 80, so that's better than half. That's a hard.
Okay. You give him an almighty shove with your boot, and this time he doesn't just stagger back; he falls back on his back. And looks like he's having difficulty figuring out how to stand up. As though I don't know, as though there's something unfamiliar about his limbs or something. It's just kind of flailing around for a moment.
Who's standing here with me? Is it just Ujel?
Yeah, the two of us are further back.
Okay. I say, Ujel, go forward. Make sure he doesn't get away. I'll deal with this swine.
I'll run forward towards the entranceway. Oh, but you won't have the light.
Well, with the shouting, I'm going to be heading that way.
Right, and
I just put the light down on the ground behind Dupois, and I'm going to try and run for the gate in the dark. You know, like I'll keep my hands on the wall and run straight. See if I can. I just want to get to that gate to make sure it's not locked.
Okay. I'm going to now fix my bayonet. I'm going to point my bayonet down at the guy. I already have it on, so.
Mm-hmm.
I'm following, but Ben.
Who are you?
He normally in a situation like this, when someone's on their back, they'd use their arm. They'd put their arm out, and they'd push up, and they'd stand up. But he kind of flounders around for a moment like a turtle on its back, then rolls over onto his front and sort of brings his knees up underneath him and almost is kind of clawing himself upright again. And just for a second, he stands facing away from you, And then he turns, and with a growl, with an animal growl, he lunges at you.
Okay. I'm going to try to meet his face with the butt end of my musket.
Okay,
Just rather calm. I'm expecting him to lunge, so.
Trying to find your... Oh, it would be at the bottom of the pile, wouldn't it? There we go. There we are. Okay, so your dex is that. That's right. He's going to go first.
Okay. I'm trying to counter.
Okay, well that's a hit. He lunges at you and swipes you with his hand, much like Phenolic did before. But in this case, he doesn't have Phenolic's clawed hands.
Right.
He just has rather sharp, ragged nails. And they do 1 point of damage.
All right. Ouch!
He gouges a big lump of skin out of the side of your cheek. I mean, it's by no means a mortal wound, but it hurts. And
so I'm gonna
more than anything, it enrages you.
Yeah, I'm gonna bash him hard enough to crush his skull if I can.
Okay.
At this point, I'm not holding back at all.
Brawl roll, please.
55 out of 85.
And what are you hitting him with? Are you
The butt end of my just smashing him as hard as I can in the face.
I think is that a 1d6 of rifle butt?
Okay. Do I get a strength bonus for my?
You do, yes. You get 1d4, I think.
So
What's your damage
6.
bonus? 6 points of damage. You absolutely cave in the front of his face.
All right.
I mean,
so
it literally collapses.
I'm going to
And again, for a moment, he looks phased, and then now lacking even. I mean, it's difficult to tell in the lamplight, but I mean, you've actually caved the front of his face in.
And he's still coming?
You can no longer see eyes or a nose, but the mouth is still there. The rest is just bloody mush. I mean, it's not that if you hit a living man like that, you would damage him.
Yeah.
You'd hurt him. He might need the doctor, but his face wouldn't cave in like that. It's almost like he was rotten.
Mm-hmm.
But now that you've got this moment,
I'm gonna do a sanity roll.
Standing face to face in front of this creature, make a spot hidden for me, please.
Okay.
I'll be coming down the corridor brandishing my axe as well.
You're coming up behind me, yeah, right now. We got a 17, which is it's hard.
Given that the only visible, recognizable feature left on his face after you've just pummeled it with your rifle butt is his mouth, your attention is sort of drawn to his mouth for a moment. And you notice that his canine teeth seem unusually large and sharp, not as prominently developed as Phenolic's.
But like that thing that was down in the catacombs.
You didn't see that well enough to.
Right.
But from what you saw of that, that was more like some sort of animal.
Right, more of a dog-like
This
thing.
is very much a man, or was a man, perhaps.
This is All I know is that Phenolic is the devil, and this is just one of his minions. And at this point, I'm going to flip my gun around with the bayonet and run it through the chest as the other guys are arriving.
Okie dokie. Give me a bayonet roll then, please.
Bayonet roll. I got a 29 out of 30, so just
Okay.
regular.
He's going to make a dodge. But he's also going to have a penalty dice. That doesn't matter because he failed it on the first one anyway. Okay. That is then 1d8 plus 1
plus
your
damage
bonus.
So 9.
9. You bring your musket up, and you, with all your force, you ram the bayonet, and it's a good shot. I mean, it's precisely how you're told to do it. You let out your killing shout, and you ram it in just under the ribs and up. And he just stops. Pardon me. He stops and he drops. The instant that bayonet goes into him, he becomes limp. The growling stops. The flailing of the limbs stops. He just becomes limp and heavy on the end of your bayonet.
Okay, I just sort of toss him to the side then.
Yeah, it just falls to the ground with a thud.
And then I turn to the others as they come running up and I say, "It's about time."
Well, you get as far as it's about when you notice that there's someone else moving in the cell on the other side.
Oh.
What manner of witchcraft is this?
It is vampirism. He is bringing the dead back to attack us.
Can I see it?
Sure, right there.
What's the sanity roll for these guys? Oh,
It is 1 for a pass, 1d4 fail.
that's a fail.
Hit them in the heart. Hit them in the heart.
I failed. And does this one look like it's got the same issue then?
This one looks a good deal fresher than the other one.
But dead?
This one looks almost like he's still alive, but has that same pallor, that same strange bluey, silvery sheen, that deathly sheen. What really strikes you about this one, almost comically so, is the fact that this man, quite portly, certainly approaching his middle years, balding, and again bruised, battered, covered in cuts. He appears to be wearing a rather nice red velvet dress. Now he's moving a lot slower than the other one, ambling almost. And as he takes a few steps towards you, you realize that he's dragging his leg behind him under the under the dress, hobbling.
I level the bayonet at him and yell, "Stop!"
There's no response whatsoever.
I shoot.
Okay, make a roll for me, please. A musket roll.
I got a hard success on that. Yeah, got a hard success. 42 out of 85.
Okay. That's 1d10 plus 4 then, please.
Damn. Only 7.
You blow a great big hole in his gut. And other than pausing for a moment as he shot, it seems to have no effect whatsoever on him. I mean, other than the fact that it's removed part of his stomach. But that doesn't particularly seem to have bothered him.
Christoph, I said the heart. There's vampires.
If he's still walking in this direction, I'm stepping back. I don't know what the hell
I'm
this
going to
shit
yell
is.
also. Eugene, are you okay? Walking off into the dark with vampires walking around.
Yeah, sorry, go.
I'll go for it.
Well, I was going to say, I was going to use stealth to walk down the corridor quietly to see if I could see anything, like to be quiet about it. So I don't know if I want to yell back to him.
Yeah, make a stealth roll for me.
09 out of 70.
You move quietly and cautiously down the corridor, and you peer into the other two cells. You get the feeling you may have seen movement in one of them, but you're trying to sneak past, so you're not really able to stop and look properly. You get to the gate. The gate is wide open. And a little further up the corridor. Actually, make a spot hidden roll for me.
44 out of 44 out of 70. Just a regular success.
You stop at the gate and sort of tuck yourself in against the wall to try and keep yourself hidden. And just for a moment, you think you see two eyes shining at the other end of the corridor near the door.
Oh, wow.
Like some sort of animal.
So once I see that, I didn't really want to go too far past the door anyway. I just wanted to make sure it was left open, and then I wanted to head back to the group. But that kind of spooked me, so I might go a little bit faster back to them, sacrificing a little bit of the stealth if I need to. But I'm not going to go running, trying to make a ton of noise. But I definitely want to get grouped back up. The main thing was I wanted to make sure we weren't locked down here.
Okay, so Ujel, you see this glint of the two eyes ahead of you. With the others of you, this thing, having been shot, suddenly it looks like it's infused with more life, and it looks straight at you and starts hobbling. It's quite about as quickly as one can hobble in that state, straight towards you. Arms outstretched, mouth open, hissing.
I'm gonna try to bring my axe down on this thing's neck. But I'm pretty slow. I've only got a dex of 50, so I don't know if I get to it in time.
It's not moving fast though, right? So
No, it's not moving fast. You could get to it. You could intercept it.
Okay.
You've already ruined the dress. You might as well.
60 out of 60 on my brawl. Exactly. So base pass.
Yeah, go on, roll for damage.
Oh, damn. 11 damage. So I bring my axe down on this fat bastard.
You take its head clean off. It's a fine chop, a well sharpened axe.
I'll not have any more of my squad bitten by these monsters.
Has the creature stopped?
Oh, the creature has definitely stopped.
Okay.
And you feel quite pleased with yourselves, you know. You just, there's a moment of elation, and then looking back up the corridor to where Ugel is, you notice that standing between the other two doors is another figure. This time, quite a large man.
Where these demons never end.
He's dressed in the manner of a peasant, and he's quite bulky, quite a solid-looking man. And unlike the others, he doesn't have that strange, deathly, far-away stare in his eyes. There's a ferocity, a bestial anger in his face, and he snarls.
My bayonet comes down, and I've got it pointed right at his chest. And if he lunges, it's going right in.
Oh, he's running straight at you.
All right.
He's not lunging. He is running straight at you.
I'm bracing myself, and I'm just going to stick it right in. When he
Give me a dex roll.
All right.
Oh,
I did not pass that.
neither did he.
So we sort of push each other out of the way as we go by.
Yeah, you just sort of barge each other out of the way and circle around each other. He's now back towards where where Cressy is.
Okay. So they can act on him now that he's past me. Cressy.
I'm going to drop the musket and pull my rapier and try to gun him if I can.
Okay. Give me a roll for that, please. Is there a specific skill for that, or is it bayonet?
I have rapier.
Oh, okay.
I get a standard success.
Okay, it's 1d6 plus 1 plus 1d4.
And that would be a total of 9.
Okay. You run him through with your rapier, and it seems to do a lot of damage. You're quite struck by the fact that there's not very much blood. In fact, there's hardly any blood at all. You saw him wince. He let out a snarl as you ran through him, and it clearly did substantial damage. I mean, you twisted and moved. But you're now, having done that, you're substantially closer to him. And he just...
Is my blade wedged in there? Stuck in his body?
Well, I mean, you're in the process of pulling it out when he lunges at you.
Sure. Okay.
And he just punches you.
Can I dodge?
Not really, because you've in
Thrust.
stabbing him. I mean, that was your move for the round, and
Okay.
in stabbing him with the rapier, you kind of moved into his orbit. So that's 1d3 plus 1d4. He does 4 points of damage. He's a big man.
I am seriously hurt. I need to get away from this guy.
You feel something crack, and you think it might be your jaw.
So I already took a swipe from Phenolic up above. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, once that happens, I'm gonna bring my hatchet in at this guy. In the name of the king, release my man. 32 out of 60, so base pass.
That's okay. Give me a damage roll, please.
8 as I chop on into him.
Okay. Give me a luck roll as well.
4 out of 50. So very lucky.
Okay. You bring the axe down straight onto the top of his head. With a horrible jarring sensation as it cleaves through the bone. And for a second, you think you might have lodged the axe into his skull, but you're just kind of able to you push his back with your foot and just about manage to pull the axe out. And you find yourself thinking that fighting with an axe is a very tricky business when you've only got one hand.
Like many things in life.
And
Now
again, this one just falls forwards, and as he falls forwards, and Ugel, you're probably aware of this before anyone else, but you all hear it from the other end of the corridor. You just hear and then a voice, Phenolic's voice. And this voice says, I take it you're all familiar with life in the countryside. The rural economy of this area depends very heavily on the keeping of sheep. And the farmers fear one thing above all else. They fear the wolf. But even the wolf's cousin, the dog, can be a dangerous predator where the sheep are concerned. Sometimes a dog will get into the pen with the sheep and it will just kill them all. Not because it wants to eat them, not even for sport or amusement. It kills them because it has to kill them. Because it is a dog and they are sheep. And there is something in their enforced passivity, their inability to fight back, their absolute ineffectualness, which compels the dog to kill them. It is its duty to kill the sheep. There's a bit of a pause.
I'm going to fling my lantern at him. And hopefully it'll shatter and cover him in whatever they use, kerosene or oil.
Make a throw roll.
Oh, yeah, fairly decent throw. 24 out of 60. That's hard.
Okay. You throw your lamp, and the lamp goes the full length of the corridor, smashes, the oil, burning oil, sprays up the walls. And you notice there's considerably more smoke than there probably would be from that sort of fire. As this thick cloud of smoke drifts across the top of the chamber up to the other end.
Now, you say the other end is going towards the way out?
It's going back towards where the statue is.
If he could have gotten out another way, I think he would have. Maybe he is trapped down here. Maybe we can keep him trapped down here.
I think he's toying with us.
That is likely. I'm open to suggestions.
From the other end of the corridor, you hear Phenlic's voice again. But this time he just says, "Bah!"
He's a
And
sheep.
then all at once, there's this thundering sound of something running towards you.
Gun down.
Yeah,
Pressy, you see it first. It comes into the lamplight at the end of the corridor where you are. Unexpectedly, at first it looks like a big dog. As it gets closer, you think it might be a wolf, a big black wolf.
Getting the hell out of the way.
Can you make a dodge roll for me, please?
I can't even stand it down at this point. Let's see. Just a standard success. I got 32 under a 50.
Okay, you more sort of fall out of the way as this thing thunders past. Baban, you are next in line. What would you do?
I've survived charges of the British. I do not fear an animal, and I'm gonna wait until he comes at me and bring my axe at him. Ooh, and that's an 88. So I missed my shot.
Oh, he does not miss. And it bites you for some damage. I can't see. Oh, right. Oh, just 2 points of damage. It's almost less of a bite, it's more just a snap as it's running past you. But you feel it connect with your leg very hard as it just tears your breeches. And you actually make a constitution roll for me, please.
You will pay for that, beast. 53 out of 55. Okay, just barely.
Just about managed to stay upright. Now, it would be Dupois next.
All right. Since I've seen this and it's coming.
Yep, you've seen it in the lamplight, so you know what's coming. Yeah.
I'm pointing my bayonet dead into the center of the mass, so maybe right into its face as it's coming at me. And the second it connects with the bayonet, I'm pulling the trigger.
Okay.
Since I have not yet fired my musket.
In that case, I would like you to make a dexterity roll.
No. 88 out of 45, so complete failure.
Oh, and
that would have been so cool, though, if it's gone like right in there and then just fired.
well, it makes a jump.
Okay.
And it just jumps over you.
So that's, yeah, I didn't quite get it. So now it's on the other side of me, but I'm turning around.
Okay.
You want some more? You want some more of my neck?
You turn around to face the wolf.
Uh-huh.
Now the wolf is a man. And once more Phenolic is standing in front of you. But this is not the Phenolic you saw before. Gone is the powdered wig. Gone is the makeup. And he's just wearing a shirt. His jacket is off. The shirt is covered in blood, probably his own. And there's no hesitation this time. He just immediately attacks.
Okay. Have I had the chance, in the process of this, is my bayonet pointed at him?
Make a luck roll.
26, that's a pass.
Yes, your bayonet is pointed at him.
Okay, so once again, same thing. The second he hits my bayonet, I'm pulling the trigger.
Okay. Make a dex roll.
08 that time.
He got 1.
Oh.
You ready yourself with the bayonet. You overcompensate and lunge at him.
Okay.
Too early.
And he
literally just effortlessly steps out of your
and we come face to face.
And there's almost a hint of a wry smile on his face.
I spit.
At this moment, however, just Dupois and Ugel, make a listen roll, please.
20.
94. I am too distracted to be listening
Okay.
to anything.
You don't hear anything. Ugel, you can clearly hear the door at the other end of the corridor opening, and the clatter of boots and muskets.
I said, reinforcements.
Warn them.
As you say that, you see a lamp shining through.
This way, man. This way.
I knew Beaumont would not abandon us.
Dupois.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, as if making up for the previous episode in which Phenolic got loads of really crappy dice rolls.
It's okay.
He swipes at you with his hand, and does 5 points of damage.
Oh my god.
So I am down to 5 points.
Yeah, he
Probably knocked me across the room.
yeah. He knocks you across the corridor and takes a big gouge out of your chest and your shoulder.
I still got to spit in his face. It was worth it.
And you look up and you just see him standing there.
I'd call his mother something.
Compatriots on one side, the clatter of reinforcements arriving on the other, and we'll just go back to Beauman for a second at that point. And Beauman, thank you for your patience.
Yeah, no problem.
You finally come to. You're on one of the carts, which at this moment is just drawing up the drive to the front of the house. There are a number of soldiers who are rather ironically herding the aristos dressed as animals into the into an area on the grass. And you're a bit bleary, but you're not entirely sure that you want to be going back up to this house.
Okay.
But you steel yourself, and give me a Constitution roll.
51 out of 50, so no. Unless I can spend a luck point.
Yeah, you can spend a luck point on that.
Okay, I'll spend a luck point to make it.
You're a bit you're feeling very lightheaded and wobbly, and you're very much aware that you've passed out, and I'm probably quite embarrassed by the fact. And being such a large man, it's difficult to keep your balance at the best of times. And so you're sort of swaying around a bit, and you manage to find just a stick or a pole or something from the cart to steady yourself on. And you just sort of you draw yourself up and look back towards the house.
All right. Well, since I'm stealing myself, I will say, I'll shake it off. I'll look to one of the soldiers and look down towards his pocket where he's keeping his flask of wine, and I'll ask, may I?
Oh, but of course, yes, but of course, my friend, yes.
So I'll take a swig, wipe my mouth, hand him back his flask, and I'll say, with me, gentlemen. And I'm going to head into the house.
Okay. It's a strange sight that greets you at this point. That the house is in the dawn. It looks much seedier than it did before. Previously, it looked very decadent. Now it just looks dirty. And it looks quite down at heel. It's not as opulent as it perhaps seemed in the candlelight. From when you come into the foyer, you can immediately hear the sound of something happening on the other side of the house. Quite a number of soldiers, about 7 or 8 soldiers, are rushing through the foyer from the ballroom and heading towards some sort of commotion.
I'll follow them. You said that the dawn is coming.
Yes.
Would I have a moment? I imagine that there are curtains hanging about the windows and around the rooms that we're passing by.
Quite heavy chintz curtains.
Yeah, I'll have maybe 1 or 2 soldiers that are with me. I'll say, rip down these curtains, all of them. Go around the house up here and rip them down.
They look a bit quizzically
don't
at each other, and then immediately set to it.
So I head down.
Okay.
All right.
And we'll go back to the others now. You'll be down there next round.
Okay.
So Dupois, you find yourself standing there with Phenolic standing over you.
I'm laying there, right?
Yes.
Yeah. He
collapsed against the wall, and he makes rather a show of straightening his collar. And
I put my hand on my knife,
okay.
which I still have.
I'm gonna turn to Pressy and say, Pressy, there's a satchel in my pocket. I'm short a hand. Make use of it.
I'll dive for it. Try to
Yeah,
get to it.
it's the spices.
Yeah.
My unused pouch.
Okay.
So I'm just looking defiantly into the face of death.
I've heard him talk about this pouch before, so I know kind of what he's looking for.
Yeah, I tried using it earlier, but I didn't land with it. But basically, as soon as Pressy takes that thing off me, I'm gonna tackle him away from Dupois.
Okay. Well, that's a yes. I'll let you be doing that as that's happening. Pressy,
Yes.
make an intelligence roll for me, please.
Oh, not 3. So yeah, I mean I've got a 50, and I got a 0-3 on the roll.
In that case,
Oh shit.
I won't be coy about it in any way. You just watched Phenolic strike Dupois very solidly with a swipe from his right arm. But while he was doing that, you couldn't help but notice that his left arm is just hanging limply by his side.
Oh shit. So the scream in the statue. We've got to break up the statue. How far are we from that space at this point?
You are about 15 feet away from there.
And to get back, how was that a full man-sized statue? Was it small scale?
Oh yes.
Life size.
So life size.
Mm-hmm.
Bubba, and you have to get the spice packet, and I run towards the statue with the intention of kicking or smashing the head on it.
Well, I'll say that. I mean, I'll let you get the spices out. I mean,
Okay.
You were standing there doing that, and you just happened to notice while this is all taking place that his left arm seemed to just be hanging limply by his side.
Yeah, I just thought the yell was a coincidence earlier, but that really stands out. Yeah, I want to go and try to smash the head on that sculpture, kick it,
Okay.
stomp on it, depending on how it's laying on the ground.
You run off in the direction.
I see him running off, and I'm like, yeah, he never liked me much anyway, did he?
Well, Phenolic also sees him running off, and
I'm going to tackle him.
he was kind of thinking, definitely. You could see that he was definitely going to thinking of following up, but now he's distracted by Pressy running off, which seems to have got his attention for some reason. And he turns to look at you, Baban, and looks over you, and then at you, and then just not necessarily running, but walking very quickly and determinedly, just starts advancing at you. I mean, he's walking fast enough to be quite intimidating.
Do I have enough strength to fling my dagger?
Give me just a minute, Bubba. Give me just a minute.
You could make a throw, but I think you'd have a penalty dice on that.
Okay, I'll do a penalty dice. 49 or 46. My throw is 60, so You could half my. You could not no strength bonus.
Yeah, there would be no strength bonus, no, because you're injured.
So just
give me a damage roll then.
4. Oops. That was 4.
Okay. The knife hits him just in the side of the stomach. And
There you go, you motherfucker.
he barely even misses a step. He just there's a slight wince as he pulls the knife out and just drops it.
I'm just gonna barrel into him full tilt.
Okay.
20 out of 60, so hard success on brawl to grapple him and tackle him to the ground.
Okay. Well, he fails to dodge. But I'm going to ask you to make a strength roll.
Let's see, 36 out of 65, so base.
You try and pull him down, but it's like he's rooted to the spot.
Bressy, he is too strong. I cannot stop him.
Now, Mick, since I haven't gone yet, I have an idea. I'm not attacking him, but I want to take my musket. I want to hold the barrel part, and I want to, as hard as I possibly can, swing it to the floor to smash it apart, to try and get a wooden splinter or to get the buttstock to splinter off. So I have a nice wooden stake out of the...
Okay, make a strength.
Nothing else is working, so...
Make a strength roll.
15 out of 55.
Okay, now make a
Luck roll. Let's see.
It might just break off instead of giving.
20. Oh, I got it. 26 out of 59. I still have decent luck.
Well, you break off a chunk of the rifle butt, which is relatively sharp and jagged.
It's worth a shot. I mean, the bullets aren't doing anything. Knife aren't doing anything.
You have a penchant for destruction. You would make a fine combat engineer.
So I just pick it up and see what happens. Let the scene play out. If he turns his back on me, I mean, it'll be next round, but if he turns his back on me, I'll just try and stab him through the back. Heart level, you know?
Gonna give him some splinters. If Buffy the Vampire Slayer was just one splinter, would work.
He's gonna ghost out, and I'm gonna get stabbed.
Okay. At this point, the first 3 or 4 of the soldiers come through behind, just behind Ugel, and with them, Ugel, you see the familiar form of Bowman, crouching down as he comes through the doorway, with more soldiers behind him. There's quite a mob of soldiers.
You are a sight for sore eyes. Sorry.
Thank you. And I will... you said I had picked up like a sort of like a stick or something like that.
Yes.
And I wouldn't have seen the exchange that happened prior to this. So I'm going to go off of whatever knowledge I know of
Well, it's happening about 20 feet further down the corridor from where the door is. So you can't really... You can hear the sound of something going on.
Okay.
But you can't really see exactly what's going on down there.
Now, isn't there Isn't there burning oil though on the walls?
It would have gone out. It only burned for a second or two.
Okay.
I mean, they're quite sort of damp stone walls.
Right,
so
right.
There's nothing for it to catch fire. But right, so Baba. Phenolic strikes you. And
Can I try to interpose my axe or my wooden hand between that fist and myself? Since all I'm really doing is just trying to hold him back.
yeah, go on, give me a dex roll for that.
Dex roll? 34 out of 50.
Okay. I am going to say that your hand your wooden hand will function in this instance much in the same way as armor. So roll 1d6 for me to see how many points of damage that absorbs.
2.
Okay. As a consequence, then, he swipes at you with a claw and just smashes your hand to pieces. And his swipe just comes straight through and breaks down your shoulder. And you take 5 points of damage. And he said 7, then the hand took 2.
My fingers again! Why does this always happen to me?
I mean, any bit of it. Not only has it destroyed the wooden hand, but it's also it's pulled the remnants of it off. So the whole thing's come off.
My stub.
Red raw stump. And again, the soldiers now pouring in at the other end. Pressy.
Hi.
You are in sight of the statue. It is leaning on the floor. Make a spot hidden roll for me, please.
44 out of 65. It's just a regular.
As you come upon the statue, it's a strange thing. It's even though the lamp is 10 or 15 feet further up the corridor, and you're only in the dimmest of light. It's almost as though the statue has a luminescence of its own in a very odd, dark way. And perhaps expecting to see the face of your beloved again, your eyes are drawn to the face of the statue, but this time all you see is a grinning skull, a death's head.
This devil sorcery. This is not melody. And I do. I reach out with my foot to smash it and try to bust the head off the statue. Assuming that would be a weak spot on it.
Okay. Make a strength roll for me, please.
Hard success, 24 out of 65. However, I am wounded. I think I don't know if that affects it.
No, I'm gonna let you go away with that. Oh, that's the torso. Okay. You repeatedly smash into this thing in the chest of it, and you don't know whether it's the force of your blows or whether maybe you hit some sort of mechanism or something. But the whole thing starts to fall to pieces. Well, what seems to be very clearly defined pieces. First, one of the legs comes off, then another leg, then the arm, and with the final wallop, the head just rolls back. But none of them broken. Again, the edge, the joins are
kind of cleanly cleaving off.
Very, very clean and smooth, as though perhaps they were just attached with some sort of adhesive or something. As you do this, however, make a sanity roll for me.
All right. I'm hoping to hear Phenolic screaming down the hall.
What you hear initially as you do this is a horrible wailing and moaning.
I got a 37 out of 46, which is a standard.
Okay, just 1 point of sanity.
Okay.
Now, the others of you, well, Baban and Dupois, the only ones really close enough to see this. Maybe Ugel you can slightly make it out in the dim light. What happens next is truly inexplicable. Phenolic at once goes from bounding arrogance, this lithe animal movement, to suddenly contracting, and at once his limbs start bending in a wholly improbable manner, and you can hear the sound of cracking of bone as his knees start. One of his knees bends the wrong way forwards. The ankle on his other foot cracks underneath him. You very clearly see his hip dislocate. His shoulders pop and he contorts. His neck twists and turns upwards, as though he's having some kind of horrific fit. Probably like what you've heard of tales of people with tetanus.
Convulsions.
Yes, and he there is a noticeable sound of the cracking of bones as this is taking place, and a look of confusion on his face, which gives way to it's a strange thing to describe, but it's probably the nearest thing he could ever experience to terror. And he just spits, what have you done?
From
What
laying
have
on
you
the
done
ground,
to it?
laying on the ground, I yell up at Beaumont, seize him, get the soldiers to grab him, bind him with chains.
I said the soldiers, and I'm moving forward as well.
I'd say Beaumont, and I throw him the piece of big wooden splintered stock to Beaumont.
I catch it in one hand. I don't need to roll a dex roll. This is all cinematic.
The Phenolic is at this point is gibbering and raving, but despite all this, still not entirely harmless. The first of the soldiers to reach him, he just rips the man's throat out.
Mhm.
I'm continuing to smash. However, I'm kind of slightly elated while still like terrified and furious is what's been going on, but just so happy that I actually heard Dupois' voice, and that I may have been able to stop Phenolic from tearing him apart. And I'll just continue, with as much enthusiasm as possible to smash at the bits that are here, or try to dislodge anything I can.
Okay. What about the rest of you? What's going on the whole? Dupois, you're basically just slumped against the wall, and
trying to stop the bleeding.
yes, you're not going to be able to get up at the moment.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to give him first aid.
No, don't worry about me. Just stop that monster.
All right, I'll back up. Michelle.
Yeah. I'll actually hand you back the piece of wood that you had, because I got a larger stick that I could use.
All right. I'll take it. I was planning on helping Dupois. That's why I figured you could use it. All right, so I grab it back, and I'm walking behind you or next to you.
Okay.
I'm just going to let my axe clatter to the ground, grab my sucking chest wound, and stumble over towards Pressy to try to get my hands on the pouch he took from me, so I can make some use of it.
Okay. Another couple of soldiers reach Phenolic. They're trying to subdue him, but he just throws them back down the hall. I mean, and it's almost unthinkable that he still has the strength to do this, because looking at him, the way he's contorted, the way his arms are bent, you wouldn't think that the muscles were still even connected. This is sheer rage he's running on now. I mean, there's no semblance of reason in his face. He's just in a state of sheer shrieking animal rage. He can't move. I mean, his legs have collapsed underneath him, so he's just basically just kneeling on the ground, one knee bending the wrong way, just lashing out at anyone that comes near him, gibbering, howling in pain.
Blow the stuff into his face.
Yeah, I'm gonna get that stuff and come back at him and say, perhaps, Comte, you have your metaphors confused. Me, I like my lamb with a little seasoning. And I'm gonna throw it at him.
Okay, I won't make you roll for that because you're right in front of him. He starts choking and coughing almost instantly this time. Choking, spluttering. There's what first you take for tears, but you soon realize it's blood. He appears to be bleeding from the eyes, and he looks. He looks as though it's taken a lot of the wind out of his sails.
Did Beaumont bring any manacles from the carts?
Well, the soldiers should have some.
Yes, well they were the ones. The two soldiers who came in with you were the ones who were bringing the manacles. So
Okay.
I would assume they would have manacles with them. Some of the others have lengths of rope. And once incapacitated like this, they do manage to tie him with ropes and chain his hands and feet.
Are we really going to let this monster live?
No, but the sun is coming out, so let's drag him upstairs.
Well, there's still hours and hours before the sun comes up, but
Well,
we can take him to the king and have the king.
You could all make an intelligence roll at this point.
24.
26.
Out of 70.
Yeah.
So yeah, make it.
I just made it.
You are soldiers who were given a very definite mission to complete.
Yeah.
And that mission was to capture
And bring him in alive.
Yeah.
Phenolic, secure the contents of his house, and arrest any other people at the party.
All right. So no killing, unfortunately.
Well, we would have killed him if we would have had to, but in this case, now we've got him chained up. I want to see the guy roasted.
So he is captured. Phenolic is captured, and what are you going to take from the house? I'll remind you of what you've found. Among the things you've found, there were particularly down here in the cellar. There are a number of some of them quite particularly old, leather-bound books on the bookshelf. There's this statue which is now in pieces. There were torture implements and some old Arabic scrolls with pictures of people getting skinned and things.
Well,
The cells.
if that statue is some sort of magic. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say with the scrolls and this statue and this among the other stuff that we find in this house. This is plenty of evidence that we need.
Well, and they've been broken up. I can't see any reason.
Well, the scrolls itself is this looks like devil worship to me.
Yeah, I say if the soldiers want them as spoils of war, and the statues all broken into pieces.
Well, we have an expert in blasphemy. Bressy, use your training. Anything that may implicate our demonic count here in the occult, in blasphemous activities.
I think I'd have a pretty good idea if I could see titles, as what might be related to the occult or popular occult.
It has Captain Malone shown up?
Don't know.
Oh, so he hasn't come down with the soldiers.
Not that you've seen, no.
Okay. Well, we got to go through the upper parts of the house too to see what other nonsense this monster's been up to. We've only seen this little bit. We saw enough upstairs.
Okay, well, I mean, we could say then that you exercise common sense and
Gather together.
let's put it this way: if you take, you can't take too much stuff.
Well, we could put it in the crates that the manacles came in.
Yeah. Well, with the 13 on the occult roll, does anything stand out in the bookshelf that would be incriminating?
Virtually all of it.
Yeah.
All right. So we got to take some of the books.
There are about 9 or 10 books, and they're all deeply unwholesome.
Almost. I really think the priority, though, needs to be to take that statue, even if we have no intentions of explaining what that statue did, because who knows if the court would ever understand that, but that statue should never get a chance of being put back together.
Right. It's
That
black
needs
magic.
that's just blasphemy. That needs to be, divided.
Well,
and
likewise,
passed out. Yeah.
the torture implements are clearly evident.
Yeah.
As are the very, very graphic scrolls in Arabic that are not only are they in Arabic and therefore deeply suspicious from a religious perspective, but they are incredibly violent. So the one or two of them that feature illustrations are really very, very graphic. So, with great effort and with the assistance of a large number of soldiers, you're able to box up these things. Phenolic himself is secured. He's put into one of the prison carts, and around the same time that he's thrown into the prison cart, it's around dawn. The sun isn't up; it's light, and around that time, as arranged, Captain Melon arrives, and he is a stoic man. He's not necessarily overjoyed. He doesn't throw out any congratulations.
We show him the monstrosities, though, of the whole thing.
He stands over the bodies for a second and looks at them. Did you get everything that was down here?
Yes, I think so. We haven't really put it together into a pile, but yes, we have the soldiers have cleared everything out.
Pressy has reviewed the bookshelves and cataloged it all for your later examination.
And he thinks for a moment, and he says, he looks at a couple of soldiers and he says, seal this place up. Let this be their tomb. And ushers you out of the cellar.
Well, should we burn the place to the ground?
Now is not the time for things like that. There are things going on behind the scenes at the moment, and I need all the men I can. Paris is on the edge of chaos. I fear something very, very bad is going to happen. Meet me back in Paris. Like, accompany the prisoner.
Oui, Capitaine.
Oui, mon capitaine.
Bring him to the Bastille. Actually, no. I will. There is a little side road into Versailles. A small side gate that's used by the tradesmen. You can't miss it. It's on the east side of the estate. Bring him there, and
should we bring the evidence as well, or should that go with the rest of the prisoners?
The evidence can go with the rest of it. I want Rigaud to have a look at him and Perhaps we can just get him incarcerated. If I can find another doctor, we can have him. We can we could perhaps circumvent a trial and with two doctors or a master in lunacy. I could have him declared insane.
Lock him up in Charenton Asylum.
That was my thought. Yes, I mean, if they're looking at the state he was in as they put him in the back of that wagon, he's a raving madman.
Mon Capitan.
Oh, what, man?
I'm sorry, you were going to say something.
I was just going to say, Sergeant, and I kind of whispered to Babon. Babon, I say, he won't believe us, but he turns to mist. What if when the doctor examines him, he just disappears?
If he does,
explain that. But
I was actually going to say exactly that to the captain. I was going to say,
I have no time for the fairy stories of soldiers. Bring the man to me as arranged, and we will deal with this.
Capitan, my one thing I must say, he cannot be kept with anyone else. He must be kept alone.
Oh, he will be. He will be kept very much alone. He will be lucky if he ever sees another human face as long as he lives. I'll see to that.
Bon.
And with that, he orders you out of the cellar.
right.
And you overhear him instructing 3 soldiers to remove the cellar door and brick it up. So I want no trace of that left. As you walk through the foyer, soldiers are herding out the prisoners and stripping the mansion of everything: paintings, clothing, valuables, cutlery. You see one soldier cramming some forks into his pocket.
I wanted a butter knife.
2 of them are very carefully and then quite sort of squeamishly carrying out the skinless Pope, as though they prefer not to touch it. And a number of people, a number of soldiers are showing a great interest in the barrels of wine, which the captain immediately orders confiscated.
Just join in. Wounded as I am, is there any way I can get a hold of that Pope's ring?
I think we already took that. That was one of our initial.
yeah, that's the first thing we grabbed.
That's right.
Mm. Despite what he's just said to you, you see Malone for a moment as the last of the soldiers are leaving the house. He stands there and he's just looking at the bodies of the footmen and the severed heads of animals lying around the place. And he looks back at you as if he's thinking what to do next. And then the silence is broken by this awful screaming from the wagon. This gibbering and screaming from Phenolic. And he walks over to one of the soldiers who's carrying a lantern. He takes the lantern from the soldier. And he looks back at you. Particularly back at Dupois. And says, you are of course right. It is best this place never existed. And hurls the lantern in through the door, and of course the whole place is full of straw all over the floors, so it burns very quickly and very fiercely.
I quickly yell to the soldiers who are trying to begin their bricking up work. Say, never mind. Get that out.
Well, they're sort of coming around the side of the house with some bricks they've found,
Never mind.
and they just drop the bricks and shrug. So, over the next few weeks, Phenolic guilt is a foregone conclusion. But as a member of the nobility, he can't be executed. Dr. Rigaud and another doctor declare him insane, and, as you say, he's sent to Chanton. The king's deputy agrees, and he's hauled away. In fact, you're there when this happens. They thought it best to invite you to see this. The broken man that is Phenolic. Rigaud, for his part, is grinning ear to ear with a look of absolute triumph. And he gathers up all the books and the scrolls, and particularly a great big heavy black book with brass bindings that he uses almost as a tray to put all the other things on. And he wanders off with the evidence. Honor Fragonard, the maker of the Skinless Pope, is also charged for blasphemy. Although he contends that he never actually met the Comte de Phenolic, nor did he knowingly dress the body up as the Pope. And given that he knows enough aristocrats, he manages to escape anything other than a minor scandal for his role in it. For your part, Monsieur Raymond and his family, the printer and his family, have been avenged. The Comte de Phenolic is no longer at large. As a consequence, each of you can get back 1d10 sanity points.
Ooh.
7.
And Beaumont, you recover from your episode. You go and visit a relative and spend a few nice weeks in the countryside. It has been a noticeable victory against an unspeakable monster and the forces of evil. However, very soon the tumultuous events of this year will provide you with a new preoccupation. In Chapter 2. and we'll leave it for there.
Excellent.
Great
All
game.
right. Our players included Wayne Worthy, Fred Carter, Luke Strom, Jason Melnichuk, and myself, with Mick Swan as the Keeper of the Secrets. We're currently producing 4 shows a week with music and sound effects added in post-production in order to create a richer listener experience. We provide audio-only versions of our show free for you to download from Podbean or iTunes. If you'd like to become a patron, visit our Patreon account. Just $1 or $2 a month helps us a lot. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We love hearing them. This is Tom Rayleigh, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game. Until next time, good luck, good gaming.